Good to see you this morning. Several years ago, I won't even tell you how many years ago, but when Linda and I were dating, we went to Worlds of Fun. And you do stuff when you're dating that you don't have to do when you're married, right? And so like try to impress, whatever. And so when I went to, the big ride at Worlds of Fun was the Orient Express. And it was a radical, ridiculous ride. And it was right close to when you come in. And so I say to Linda, let's ride it. And she says, yes, because we are dating, right? And so she's like, but we get it, and you're watching this, and it's lots of twists and turns and super fast speeds. And you're not, and I could tell she was a little nervous about it. But I am very excited about being on this ride. And you can hear people screaming and lots of stuff going on. And so, you finally get up to where you get in the little car thing and they put this big harness over you and click it down because you could die, right? That's all of a sudden you are beginning to realize this could be bad. So we get in there and I'm kind of like, yeah. And we start up the hill. You start click, 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 right? And you're just going, and that's all. You're just click, 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 click. And about the fifth click, Linda says, I want off. And I was like, what? She says, I want off. And click, click, click. And about I said, I'm sorry. I don't think they're stopping this thing. And of course, you get up to the top, and there's this little hesitation. It's like just ridiculous, and you're screaming, and I was like, yeah, that was like my hair. When I had it was like, this is so much fun, and she is wiped out. I don't think she has been on a roller coaster since because we got married, and that was enough for her, I guess, and so that's fine, but. There's certain things in life that just kind of bring us right to that spot of, oh, that's so exciting, it's so fun. And maybe for you, that was as simple as when you asked the girl out and she said yes, right? Because you were like, do you want to go? Yeah! Now you stayed cool and calm until you got in the car, right? And like, yeah! Or maybe when, like this last year, the Cubs beat the Cardinals, like, yeah, right? This is good. And we're excited about this year. This is going to be, this is our century. There's lots of things that maybe taking that new job, maybe getting married, all those things brought life into you and breathed into you at that moment. And today we're wrapping up this incredible message series that we've been in for the last 4 weeks. Now this is the 5th week of finding our way back to God. And we've looked at the famous story in the Bible called the Prodigal Son. And you probably know that. Even if you don't know much about the Bible, you probably heard about that story where a kid says to his dad, I'd like to have my inheritance now. And his dad gives him the inheritance, and the kid goes off and spends all the money and does all kinds of stuff, and then ends up in a pretty bad place, and then returns home. And that was kind of last weekend, right? We celebrated that returning to love moment and life, and we had wandered off, and we had over 20 baptisms here last Sunday, which was super fun. And it was just crazy good stuff. One of the most exciting things for me was that in our Millard location, which we just opened 3 weeks ago, we had 4 baptisms there. And so they got to experience life as well. And how much fun is that, right? I mean, there's nothing probably in the Christian life that is more exciting when you get to stand in the baptistry with your friend and baptize them. I mean, beside being baptized yourself, it just is, I wish that for everyone. And I would think that, we could capture that moment, right? If we could capture that moment and just have it with us all the time. I think one of the reasons why that moment is so powerful is because we know eternity is at stake. And we get temporal stuff, and just like this prodigal son stuff, and we buy things, and it doesn't deliver. We buy things, it doesn't deliver. We try this, it doesn't deliver. We try all kinds of things to bring us to life. That's what this boy wanted. He wanted life. John 10:10 Jesus tells us this way: the thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life. Another translation would say it like this: I've come to give you an abundant life, more than you could even imagine, bigger and better than the Orient Express stuff, right? It's going to stay with you way longer than that kind of moment. We always are looking for more to life. I think that's why this prodigal son wanted the money, because he knew that if he was to stay home, he probably isn't going to have that kind of life. Even though he has everything he needs and, right, everything's taken care of, he is still thinking that life is out there somewhere. The abundant life is out there somewhere. And it's not going to happen here, because Dad probably wasn't going to tolerate that kind of life and that kind of excess and that kind of abundance, right, that I'm thinking is going to give me life. So he asked his dad for a whole bunch of money. And Dad gives it to him. It's an amazing story. Luke 15, 11 through 12. To illustrate the point further, Jesus told them this story. A man has two sons. The younger son told his father, I want my share of the estate now before you die. So his father agreed to divide his wealth, and that word wealth could actually be life. He decided to divide his life between his sons. So both boys cash in. We'll hear more about the older son here in a moment. But he divides his property, his life, and he says to his boy, okay, against my better judgment, because I know what's going to happen. I've been around and I've seen what might take place here. Okay, if you want to go, you can go. The father wanted his sons to experience life and life to its fullest. But I don't think this was what he had in mind. Right before the story of the prodigal son, he tells a couple of other stories that illustrate this point a little further. The first was about a shepherd who loses one of his sheep. He had 100 and he loses one. He goes out and he looks for his sheep, and he hears the sheep, and he goes and he takes it and brings it back home. And this is what happens in Luke 15:6. When he arrives, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying, Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep. Now, we kind of think that, he was only missing one. Why is he getting so excited about the one, right? And because he's got 99. Most of us were like, hey, you got 99. Forget about that dumb sheep. It's fine. You got 99. He's just a 1%er. No big deal. Just let him go. You got 99. Make sure the 99 are safe, right? But you don't have to go look for that dumb sheep. But a good shepherd, right? And this is the difference. He's a good shepherd. So the good shepherd goes and finds the lost sheep. And then when he finds them, he calls his friends together and celebrates. And the friends are probably going, hey, this is cool. We get to go to a party, but I think it's kind of dumb that you went all that, put out all this money expense to let us know you found your one dumb sheep. Jesus tells another story. Luke 15:9, he tells a story about a woman who loses a coin. When she finds it, she will call in her friends and neighbors, saying, Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost coin. And maybe she didn't have a whole lot. Maybe this one lost coin was a big deal. Maybe it was a very expensive, maybe it was most of her money. I don't know. But when she finds it, she calls everybody together. In Luke 15, our prodigal son story, kill that calf we've been fattening, celebrate with a feast, for this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost and now is found. And the party begins. And everybody who's listening to that, I would think for the most part, maybe not everybody, but everybody's kind of nodding and thinking, of course, everybody celebrates. We get it, Jesus. This is a good story. Yes, the lost is found. Yes, we have a party. That's great. But not everybody's happy with this story. Not everybody is excited about the lost getting found. Verse 25, meanwhile, the older son was in the fields working. When he returned home, he heard music and dancing in the house, and he asked one of the servants, what is going on? Your brother's back, and your father has killed the fatted calf, and we're celebrating because of his safe return. The older brother check this out, was angry and wouldn't go in. Again, you think if anybody would be happy, right? They're like, my brother's home. We've been worried sick about him. It's like, are you kidding me? This is great. He's mad. He is not even going to go in the room. He wasn't even going to go to the party. His father came out and begged him. The boy says, all these years I've slaved for you and never once refused to do a single thing you told me to do. I've always been a good kid. I've always been a good kid. Did what you said, watched my business, took care of your stuff. And all that time you never gave me even one young goat for a feast with my friends. Yet when this son, not the son of yours, not my brother, he doesn't say it, yet when this son of yours comes back and after squandering your money on prostitutes, you celebrate by killing the fatted calf. His father said to him, look, dear son, you've always stayed by me, and everything I have is yours. I would think that this would have crushed Dad. I would have think he would look at him like, please come in. Please. The thought, right, that probably the person you love, right, these people, this dad loves them more than life and anybody, but now one of them's looking at him like, what did you just do, Dad, you dummy? You mean you made a massive mistake when you gave him the money, but now you seem to be compounding it even more and making it like, what in the world? Yeah, I'm glad he's home, but we don't have to kill that calf. Yeah, I'm glad he's not dead, but we don't have to. How much did that band cost? I mean, Bon Jovi? Seriously? Dad wanted everybody to celebrate. And the one person that he would have thought would have been thrilled wasn't. Far too often in the church, we complain about when the lost get found. Instead of throwing a party, we get a little put out. That last person is sitting in my chair today. Some of you got in a little late, a little windy. Maybe you took a little detour to a Starbucks. Even though we give you free coffee, you like your own, right? That's right. I need my 2 of them. You come in here, and somebody's in your chair. Now, nobody here does. All right. Last year, Linda and I went to a church on vacation. We typically try to find a place to go when we're out vacationing. And sure enough, I like getting there a little early, kind of get the lay of the land, see what's going on. And so also, if you get here early, you get to sit wherever you want. So I liked sitting up front. That's because that's where the Christ followers tend to sit. Just kidding. But I like it up front, and so we plop down in this place, and people are coming in, and I'm not really paying much attention to what people are saying around me. And then Linda leans over and says, "Did you hear what she said?" I said, "What?" And "We're in her seat." And she was behind us, and I guess she was complaining to the person next to her that somebody was in her seat. Now, I'm glad I didn't hear that. But I am very glad a lost person didn't hear that. Would it have been horrible, right? You finally muster up enough courage to go to church, and maybe you're just like, I don't know what we're doing, and I don't know what, but I think I should go to church, and then all of a sudden you hear somebody complaining, right, that you were in their chair. Or you took their parking spot. And all of a sudden, we get the idea that nobody's really glad that I'm here. Nobody said hi. Nobody greeted me. Nobody paid much attention. And all of a sudden, I get this idea is that I don't think anybody here is really happy I'm trying to find my way back to God. I don't ever want to be the oldest brother in this story who doesn't throw a party when his brother, of all people, would come home. I don't ever want our church to be a church where we are more like the older brother. I worked for a pastor who said this all the time, and I believe it. The church is to be organized for the sake of the people who are not yet here. Think about that. We are the only organization who is not organized for the people who are here. We are organized, and essentially today we are organized for the people who aren't even in this room today. I've been in the business a long time. I would say most churches are organized for the people who are there, who are already there. Let's keep the people who are here happy, right? So the pastor becomes a politician. The music is spent on the folks who are coming, and here's what you hear oftentimes in a church like that. Feed me, feed me, feed me. Feed me, feed me. Kill that fatted calf today, pastor. Feed me, feed me, feed me. And I get that, I understand. We try our very best to encourage people and help you get into the Word of God, but we are not organized for our members' sake. We are not organized for our members' sake. We're organized for the sake of the people who are still not here yet. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why we now have multiple campuses and multiple services. And we ask you occasionally, hey, can you find your way? And would you mind? And what about? And we need to have some more building things and going on. And it's easy in a church at times to settle in and go, I think we've done enough. This is my third campaign, Pastor. Do you really want me to give another? What, are you trying to help me? What? And it's easy to kind of get back and kind of complain about, can another church do something? Why do we have to be? And how come? And aren't we big enough? Aren't we big enough? And every time I hear that, I cringe just a little bit. Haven't we, right? Don't you think? And why? Now, that service went a little long last week. A bunch of people got baptized. Right? We never want to say that. Now, we might even think that, but you know better to ever mention that out loud here, right? You know better. Because we party when lost people get found. So nothing thrills our hearts more than that. And that's why we will continue to say to you, here we go now. Here's the next thing. And this is what we're leading up to. And Jesus came to seek and save the lost. He went and sought and looked for the lost, right? The lost coin and the lost, right? Now the son, the dad doesn't go and looks for the boy. He can't make him come home, or he can't compel him. He can't even shame him into doing that. The boy had to return. But when the boy returned, what did dad do? He ran like crazy to meet his kid and threw a party for him. Finding the coin and finding the sheep and finding that boy all brought life back into those homes. That's God's dream for you as well. And he wants you to know that you are unconditionally loved by a good, good father, by a good shepherd, and by a good host in a home that will go find. I know I'm reading into the story a little bit, but I'm guessing that when this lost kid comes home, that he views life a lot differently now. I have a feeling that he views life, I think he views people who don't have stuff differently. See, I don't think he ever knew what it was like to not eat or not be able to, right? Or have or to even have a relationship with his family. So now the moments that he has with his dad and his brother and his family, right, is precious. I don't think he looks at money the same way he did before. He thought, this is going to buy me happiness. And now he realizes that boatload of money didn't buy him nothing but trouble. It didn't buy him happiness. It was empty. It had nothing. It wasn't life in abundance. I mean, he could buy a whole bunch of stuff abundantly, but it didn't bring him life. What brought him life was when he came home. So I think he viewed life a lot differently and what was more important to him. So how do we play in this game? Again, sometimes for us, maybe we grew up in the church. We don't know any better. We never left the church. We never wandered from the church. And we've experienced great life. But we might also have slid into that moment where we're a little bothered at times by lost people. Why can't they get their act together? Why are they blowing all their money? It seems so simple to us. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? It seems so simple, right? Because we've never been outside. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go outside to understand. You certainly don't. Jesus, right, he never went, like, I need to experience this in order to help people. No, he never had to, but he still, right, it could help people. So I think it's possible to still stay home and still be connected to the Father. So I hope you're not becoming the older brother who couldn't bring himself to celebrate when his own brother returned home. The Father wants to give you amazing life, a life that is in abundance, not a life that is the same, but a life that is full. I think that's a confusing concept for most people who are outside of the family, right? They look at Christ followers and think, you never have fun, right? Because there's a lot of thou shalt nots, and there is. There's at least 10, right? There's more than that, but we know 10 of them, and we hadn't done so well on 10, and so there's a lot of thou shalt nots, and that is like, he doesn't want you to have fun. No, he does. He wants you to have life, and life in its fullness. And if you will follow his directions and follow his leadings and promptings, you will experience life, not in a pile of a mess at the end of the road, but in the house where there is a calf, and there's a lot of food, and there's a lot of celebration. He wants you to experience life. And as the designer and the creator of all good things. So again, he doesn't prohibit food or drink or entertainment or sex, right? It doesn't say, don't stop having fun. He doesn't say that to us. Well, then how come I'm not having fun, right? Well, he says, and this is what the problem is, wait. I don't want to wait. I want to go now. Well, then you can go. You can go. I'm not stopping you. You can go. But I'm telling you to wait, right? Because I came up with the idea of all this stuff for you, and I know what it looks like when you stay home. But when you leave, it's going to be messy. And if we follow his patterns for relationships and money and work and play, all of those things that he gave us for our enjoyment, we'll experience life. And we'll celebrate when lost people come home. Because that's what gives us life. Because that's what's eternal. All the stuff that we buy, all this stuff that we do, all this relationship stuff, it just lasts for a moment, and then we're on to the next, and on to the next, on to the next. We think, this is going to bring me excitement. This is going to give me, and I can't wait to, whoa! And we're just like, now maybe, I don't know where you're at in this story. It's probably a couple of places. Maybe you're still far from God and you haven't turned towards him. Maybe you're still waiting to figure it out. You're like, I think I need God. I don't know. Will he love me or accept me? Will he want me back? And absolutely he does. If the last 5 weeks have taught us anything, is that he wants you to come home. Maybe you're a little bit like that boy that stayed home. Feel a little sorry for yourself and a little bit put out when this good-for-nothing people come back to church and whatever. And so maybe today is a day where we just kind of examine, who am I in this story? Right? Let's pray. God, you are a great, great Father. You've been so good and so kind and so patient and so wise. You've always had my best interest in mind. You've always known what to do for me. And you've always loved me unconditionally, even when I've wandered away. It was so wonderful to watch so many people find their way back to you. We have a hard time even controlling our own emotions during that time. It's so powerful. And even still to today, we celebrate with life change that's going to take place. Maybe even right now, somebody is turning. Forgive us when we become a little bit too much like that older brother who was judgmental, was harsh, was unwilling to even see the goodness of the moment. We don't ever want to be like that either. So forgive us for that. And now, even now, as we celebrate by singing and lifting our voices to you, we are grateful that you are great. In Jesus' name.